Hey everyone, today I wanted to discuss how we can play Dungeon and Dragon solo. We'll discuss how to create your characters and the party composition, how many characters you should play with, how to balance adventure and if you need to, and also what to do with all the meta information that you have as a solo player when you are running a published adventure. All right, so character and party creation. There are a few options you have as a solo player when you want to play in a published adventure. One option is to play with a party composition that is recommended for the adventure. Essentially, all Wizard of the Coast adventure in 5e recommend about 4 players to play the adventure. So as a solo player, you can create 4 characters, and there are pros and cons to do that, and I'll go over those now. The pros are that you don't have to do a lot of balancing in the adventure. You don't have to change the adventure that much in terms of difficulty because you have the recommended number of player or character. The other pros I can think about using 4 characters is that you can basically create the party you want and build like a synergy around all the other characters that you have in your party. So you can basically create the perfect party, something that you cannot really do when you play in a group because everybody wants to play their favorite characters or favorite class. But now, if you want to have a party of 4 barbarian, you could do that. But if you want something a little bit more balanced, you can also achieve that goal. Um, and those are mostly like why you would want to play with a regular party size. Now, the cons are that as a solo player, you have to manage all those characters, plus all the NPCs and all the monsters, which is a lot. I've tried it. It it could work fine for one shots or small campaign or maybe starter sets, but it become really difficult to manage. Even if you're starting like TTRPG in general, but knowing all the spells, the traits, the abilities for each characters plus the inventory, it can be really challenging. And your play session become a lot of like a big chunk of your play session is to manage a character and going to the PHB to understand what this spell does or what class ability does what. So it can become clunky, but if you are an experienced D&D player and you know classes and subclasses and spell and of that very very well, this can be a rewarding way to play a module with a full party size. On the other side, so the opposite of that would be to play with only one character. And already we can see that we are losing some synergy with other characters when you're playing with only one, but it's a lot easier to manage. You only have to focus on one character. You don't have to look up your character sheet all the time because as far as the adventure goes, you should become a little bit more knowledgeable about all the abilities of your character. And you can also one of the other advantage maybe or pros of using only one character is you can really become that character. You can role play that character by giving it a really good personality. So it really resemble how you would play in a group, but without the other players. So you can really embody the character you build when you only have one. Um, and that can be a pro also. But on the other side, you're using some synergy, and there's a lot of tweak you need to do for the module you are running because otherwise it would be way too difficult. So, for example, during encounters, you would have to reduce the number of enemies, or if you're only against one monster that has a really big CR or challenge rating, you will need to either change that monster or tweak it. So is CR level lowers to be a little bit more balanced with only one character. So you need to maybe reduce its AC or reduce the HP, remove some of its multi-attack, or maybe you cannot use some of its spell. But that is to your own discretion. And to come up on the fly, it's a bit difficult also. So it can be a bit challenging in terms of changing the adventure you're playing. The other way you can do it is to instead buff your character, so you can maybe start your character at a higher level. If you were to start at level 1, maybe you can start it at level 3, you get your subclass, and you should be able to play the adventure without having to tweak too much the encounters, but sometimes you might have to. And doing it like mid fight is a bit, disappointing. So the last option is to play with maybe 2 or 3 characters. And I'll tell you right away, I do it with 2 characters. I feel it's the most effective way to play solo because you can get synergy between 2 characters. You can have one that buffs the other, and the other one can protect maybe the other character, so you can really have a balanced party with like a martial and a spellcaster. It's easy to manage. It's not too much. You only have 2 character sheets or 2 digital character sheet, and there's less back and forth with the rules and look into spells. You get a you get good knowledge of the character you're playing because it's only 2. Tweaking the encounter is also easy. You can, in general, just divide by 2, which is a lot simpler than dividing by 4 or by 3. So it's not that hard, but it's easier when you have to do it on the fly and you want to prep for adventure. So 2 is a really good middle ground, and there's a lot of also fantasy of having 2 characters going to on an adventure. You can think about Frodo and Sam, or Batman and Robin, or The Witcher and the Bard guy. I don't remember his name, but you can have your fantasy of a good duo who's going into an adventure. That can be a lot of fun also. So those are my tips for playing solo with a specific party size. Now that you have a party size in mind, um, about balancing, what I usually suggest is when you run a published adventure is do not read the whole adventure in advance, uh, unless you already have played it. But if it's the first time you're running it, go chapter by chapter, page by page, because you will still have some meta information that you will just learn that usually you don't have as a player because it's somebody else who's running the adventure, the dungeon master or the game master. Now you will have that knowledge. So by delaying it a little bit, it still gives you a little bit of surprise and excitement when you're running the adventure. So you don't need to prep too hard. But what to do with the meta information? I used to try to ignore it, but it's really hard. And you always got a little voice in your head that, oh yeah, you knew the secret door was there, and you told yourself that one of your character would knew about it, so you just found it by accident. So what I'm now doing is that I'm embracing the fact that I know some information from the adventure, and by not reading the adventure from completely when I start the module, I still don't know what is the climax or what is the end. I'm keeping that when I go there, but when I'm running an adventure, I have to do an encounter, for example. All right, I know how many monsters there are, and I know their stat block. I will play with that information. If there is one monster that has resistance to fire or cold, I will not use a spell or an attack that will do that type of damage. It's just not fun. I don't want to roleplay that my character don't know about it and only discover about it after his first attack. I'm just gonna use that information to my advantage. And in a way, I can understand like at first first impression might be counterintuitive when you usually play Dungeon and Dragon and you discover those you know meta information as playing. But trust me on that. Like it is worth it to just embrace it and not battle your psyche to oh what should I know, what should I not know, oh my character will should react. Just play with it, and it's so much. It is a lot of fun. It can feel a little bit gamified and video gamey, and yeah, a little bit. But you have to differentiate how you play solo versus how you play with somebody else narrating the story. And when I understood that, I had a lot more fun just playing the game. I know the vulnerabilities, I know the resistances, I know like the spell a an enemy can do. I will try to use that information to make battle decision and to have a strategy how I want to approach a certain conflict, etc. And I think it works very well. Now, when you learn about like a trap or a secret door or oh this chest is not a chest, it's a mimic, what you should do whatever you want basically. My recommendation is to approach it anyway. So you find a chest and you think it's a mimic, you can give like personality trait to your character that oh this character will always try to open a chest, or that character want to find gold and treasures. So you can play it like that. So that character will try to open a chest, even if you know, like you, the person, that this is a mimic, and then you just play the encounter. What if you know if there's like a trap? I mean, you can try to disarm it, but you have to accept the result of your dice. So if you try to disarm it and it doesn't work, and the trap like explode in your face, you take the damage. If you know there's a secret door, you can roll to see if you can find it. Your character can find it. If they fail their perception check, I mean, it's too bad for them. So there's still a way to, ev- even if you know the information, to not be able to access it because of the roll of the die. And this is fun. This is one of the cool things. You can be disappointed as like a person. Oh, damn! I would really wanted to find the treasure behind that secret door, but you failed, and you just move on. Now with NPC, you can really roleplay them the way you want. But if you can integrate a little bit of, you know, dice roll in that, it's even better. So now outcome are not decided by what you know, but by the roll of a die, which is, what is D&D all about? Rolling dice. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Wishing you a good day. Bye bye.